So this is my presentation for the Year 8 English team on a state library excursion. So I went to the library myself and I saw many school groups of various ages doing tours. I saw a guided tour talking about the exhibitions, which we'll show some pictures in a second, and I saw a free walk where the students were allowed to just walk around and explore at their own pace. And I just thought that giving our students that opportunity to explore the library themselves and make their own connections and see the art themselves can help them link what we're doing in the class of the poetic devices and the writing styles and the poetry, and how we can link that to maybe the real world historical context of some of those poems as well, because obviously we see there is a real big link between life and writing. So this is one of my favorite exhibitions, and it is called Treaty. It's only there for a limited time though, but they'll be rotating, and this is about the Indigenous treaty made, talking about the rights of the Indigenous people when they first when the colonists first came into Victoria. This painting is one of my favorites. As you can see, there's two paintings in the picture. There's the Indigenous one on the left, and the one on the right is by a non-Indigenous artist, and they're actually the exact same event. And you can see in the placards they talk about that, and I think that's really interesting, having that contrast visualized. The library doesn't just go over Australian history, well, all Australian history, but also other groups. For example, this is an Arabic presentation about immigration, and this was about Chinese imports and migrants as well. So that art, I think, can really help the students connect. This is the dome section of the library, which, as we can see, there are a lot of books and a lot of areas for students to study. So as in the lesson plans, I propose writing summaries, so they can do that here, and they can look for the books. So in here, this is all Australian writing in books in this section. So there was Australian poetry, which I went through, which had a lot of women's collections, religious collections, and they have a variety of collections from different ages and different population groups, which I think can help the students link the experiences of themselves to literature. This is another library area which I presume would be the most beneficial for the students to gather and have a read of themselves. It just has very many books in there, and there was a specific display on Indigenous magazines at the moment for Reconciliation Week. These are just some of the tours that they offer. So as you can see, there's a guest speaker coming up, but obviously we might not be able to do that one. There's curators tours, which are led by the librarian curators, and there's also things that help discover research skills, as well as free tours. And I hope that the students would be able to look at the library and the historical context of it and relate it to their own context, so when they can bring that into their classroom and have a deeper understanding of what was happening in the time during some of the poems that we study, how sometimes the history can infect literature in that way.